Actually, my presentation will focus on, let's say, the strategic aspects of Work Package 4. And these, of course, apply also to Work Package 5. And later on, my colleague, Andrea Palatinos, will sort of highlight issues related to the microplastics threat. So basically, first of all, I would like to say that one of our great ambitions for our DeFishGear project is that this project can serve as a pilot project for the implementation of the regional action plan. Is a clear example of a sub-regional collaboration with regards to marine litter monitoring, and also with regards to sort of formulating recommendations that should be picked up by policymakers in order to address the issues related to marine litter. So actually, the overarching aim of Work Package 4 and 5 is to facilitate the efforts of policymakers and stakeholders in effectively dealing with the issue of marine litter in the Adriatic macroregion. And having said that, I would like to stress that DeFishGear is not yet another research project where the outcomes are going to be hidden away in a drawer or something like that. The idea is that all the outcomes, results, outputs of this project are going to serve decision makers. So basically, we're working on the science policy interface. So the main objectives of Work Package 4 is to provide a comprehensive, coherent, and transparent characterization and analysis of the marine litter problem in the Adriatic region. Andrei mentioned that there are a lot of data gaps with regards to marine litter amounts, trends, sources in the region. This was also stressed by Tatiana in her presentation earlier. And we have already made a first attempt to sort of review what all the type of info that is out there, published or made available through different stakeholders. And this review will soon be published in our website. And also, we include in this first sort of a baseline assessment the socio-economic aspects of marine litter, which again was brought up by Tatiana, the lack of knowledge with regards to that. Also, we are seeking to pave the way for the adoption of coordinated and harmonized approach in terms of marine litter monitoring. And this is a need stressed also within the MSFT framework as well as the regional action plan, to provide recommendations, as Andrei said already, to policy makers related to the different legislative frameworks relevant to our region. And furthermore, to identify gaps and needs as a basis for setting priorities for actions, because we have been hearing a lot about the key measures that should be picked up by the countries, but what is also very important is to know what are the factors that are hampering down the implementation of these measures. Here is a list of actually the key policy frameworks that are of relevance to our activities, also for Work Package 4 and Work Package 5. And this is, of course, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, the Regional Action Plan on Marine Litter, the Ecosystem Approach, as well as the Integrated Coastal Zone Management Protocol. And the idea is to sort of, through a transparent and coherent synthesis of natural and social science-related info, and stakeholder input, because we consider stakeholders as a key strength of our project, to contribute to the development of a knowledge basis for appropriate marine and coastal zone planning to reduce the impacts of marine litter. Here is the planned activities of Work Package 4 in a nutshell. So basically, the initial step is to define an assessment and monitoring strategy, then to carry out pilot surveys on all countries of the Adriatic region. In parallel, we are going to carry out an assessment of the socio-economic impacts. And finally, this is going to be compiled in an assessment report, including some key recommendations to be picked up by policymakers. Regarding the assessment and monitoring strategy, the main building blocks of this strategy are the guidance document on monitoring of marine litter in European seas, which was published early in 2014 and was developed by the MSFT technical subgroup, where Andrea and myself are participating. And also the draft monitoring guidance document on ecological objective 10, which deals with marine litter, which was prepared by UNEP-MAP and was discussed actually last week. And we are very happy with this perfect timing, actually, because now we have the building blocks in place where we can actually use as a basis for our own strategy monitoring strategy. So as Andrei already mentioned, yesterday we had the pleasure of being together with distinguished experts in the field of marine litter, not only from the Adriatic region, but also from other regional seas. And we were discussing actually the main elements that are going to be the key elements actually of this monitoring and assessment strategy. And also we consider that meeting as sort of a baby step or something like that in order to establish a regional network of experts of marine litter in the Adriatic region, which is also one of the key activities to be implemented within the UNEP map system and the Cormon group. So basically we discussed yesterday, I will just reflect a little bit on yesterday's discussions, but I will not go into depth since they were very technical. And so we discussed the main aims and objectives of our monitoring activities, which is basically to sort of form the baseline on what is the state of the environment with regards to marine litter in the Adriatic region, and try somehow to patch up this patchy image of marine litter information and knowledge gaps or knowledge available. Then we discussed a little bit about the quality assessment and control approach that we're going to deploy within our strategy, the site selection criteria, some key considerations related to data handling and reporting. And then we went further on to discuss in more detail the different protocols that we are going to use within our strategy. And these protocols, of course, we didn't try to, we don't even think of reinventing the wheel, because these have been already developed in a rather comprehensive manner by the MSFD task group. And actually also the UNEP map and the Cormon related protocols are almost identical with the ones proposed by the MSFD task group. So basically in our scope of activities, we are going to do visual observation of marine litter on beaches, visual observation of marine litter on floating, seafloor marine litter monitoring using divers for shallow waters from until 20 meters, and then from 20 meters to 800 meters we're going to use bottom trawling protocol. And with regards to the impacts of litter on biota, given of course the limitations that we have with regards to budget, we plan to, and even though we know that the turtles related protocol is one that has been pushed forward in our region, and turtles have been identified as a key species to monitor the impacts of marine litter, we are going to sort of study more the potential of certain fish species, pelagic and benthic species, to serve as indicators of impacts of marine litter on biota. I also wanted to stress that within our work package, actually the Euro-Mediterranean Center for Climate Change, which is a key partner to our group, is going to carry out a modeling exercise where the idea is to try and predict marine litter hotspots in the Adriatic region. And actually also by the monitoring activities, we're going to try and sort of verify the final hazard mapping algorithm that is going to be employed in order to predict these hotspots. Perhaps Esam later on could say a few words, or actually I know that he has brought a poster, so during the poster session he can explain the numerical methodology deployed in order to come up with this hotspot map. Here I just wanted to say indicatively, in order to give you an idea of the scale of our activities. So actually monitoring activities are going to be performed by all Adriatic countries. And here is, for example, the number of sites that we selected for the beach litter monitoring, which is going to be the most sort of elaborated activities, given the fact that it's the less sophisticated activity and it requires a rather smaller budget. So basically we're talking about 30 or 35 sampling sites, which in comparison to, for example, the OSPAR sites, which are more or less double for a huger sea, we realize that we are going to have a lot of input of information to base our assessment. Some key activities and tools in order to implement the assessment and monitoring strategy in a consistent way is, as Andrei mentioned, capacity building activities for all partners involved in the monitoring survey. So actually we are planning together with a Work Package 5 leader a comprehensive training. I think it will take place the next coming weeks, in order to train our partners how to monitor marine litter in all environmental compartments, applying the protocols that were discussed in yesterday's meeting. And also, in order to facilitate their efforts, we plan to develop an appropriate field guide. And we hope that this field guide will be useful also for other people from outside the DeFishGear team who potentially could contribute to the monitoring of marine litter in our region and beyond. Also, a key activity has been to enhance the understanding of socioeconomic impacts in a region. We realize that the significance of economic impacts is really very, very important, and a lot of economic losses are caused by marine litter annually. So basically, here is somehow a first mapping of the impacts that the marine litter has. Direct impacts such as impact on resources, damage or repair, impacts on marine biota, impacts on fishing activities, cleanup costs. Then there are some indirect impacts such as social impacts, reduced recreational activities, loss of jobs, public health and health implications, and also some intangible impacts such as the inhibition of proper functioning of marine ecosystems and the damage in aesthetic values. Of course, we do realize that this is going to be a rather challenging activity given the fact that there are not sort of a standardized methodology in order to putting in value to environmental services, but nonetheless we're going to try and come up with a concrete analysis of these socioeconomic implications and their respective costs. Also, we have we consider this activity of a high importance given the fact that nowadays we have in place in the Adriatic MacroRegion the EU strategy for Adriatic and Ionian MacroRegion, and actually this area, when we talk about the Ionian Adriatic MacroRegion, it extends a little bit further than the actual eligible territory that Andrei presented in his slide. However, given the importance, our activities are taking into account also additional territories. Within this strategy, actually, which the four key pillars is marine and maritime growth, the concept of blue growth, connecting the region, environmental quality and sustainable tourism. With regards to the latter two, actually, we know that, of course, marine litter is going to have, has actually implications on the quality of marine waters as well as on tourism. So therefore, the issue of marine litter has been highlighted as an urgent sort of an issue within this strategy. So actually our project is going to some regards address issues that are reflected within this strategy. Also, another important activity, which we have a long-standing experience in doing that, is joining forces and building synergies with other ongoing activities. So basically, we have spent a lot of considerable effort because a lot of funds are being invested nowadays on different aspects of marine litter, and it's an imperative need actually to bring all these together. And here I have summed up some of the key initiatives taking place. Of course, this sort of a slide does not include all of them, but at least it captures the most important ones like Marlisco, the Clean Sea project, the Marlit project, Perseus project, Healthy Seas, the Cleanup Day and the European Waste Reduction Week, but which are exclusively dealing with issues of waste and marine litter. But nonetheless, I mentioned here also the Horizon 2020 activity, which almost half of the participants here are going to participate in the next coming days in a training on marine litter and on facilitating the implementation of the regional action plan. So the main expected results includes actually increased knowledge on the occurrence, amounts and sources of impacts in on marine litter in the Adriatic, and also on the hotspots, potential hotspots, including socio-economic impacts. The idea, of course, is to strengthen involvement and participation of regional marine litter experts in the development of the assessment methodology and results, and therefore we're going in this way to sort of enhance the ownership of the assessment outcomes. We are going to invest a lot of time in enhancing capacities to perform marine litter monitoring at regional level, and potentially with the guidelines and the video guidelines that we're going to develop, also to train others beyond the DeFishGear group in order to apply these monitoring protocols. And also what we seek to achieve is a strengthened and reinforced science policy interface to support the integration of sound scientific evidence into policy and decision making in order to effectively address the issue of marine litter. And finally, hopefully, this will lead to improved management of human activities generating marine litter, and also strengthen the implementation of the different legislative frameworks relevant to our work. So before closing, I would like here to mention the Work Package 4 team, which is consisted of very active and very motivated and committed members. And that is, of course, from our lead beneficiary, the ISPRA Institute for Italy and ARPA Emilia-Romagna as well, the Institute for Water of Republic of Slovenia, the Institute for Oceanography and Fisheries from Croatia, the Hydro Engineering Institute for Bosnia and Herzegovina, the University of Montenegro, the Agricultural University of Tirana, HCMR, the Hellenic Center for Marine Research, and of course the partner who is going to carry out the modeling exercise, which is the Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change. And I would like also to take the opportunity and thank them for their inputs. And without anything more, I would like to thank you for your attention.